Hey, what's up? My name's Austin. I am basically creating this whole thing called Positive Dent. Over time, we'll kind of get into what that means and what that looks like. But I want to start out super simple, super basic, my 2024 everyday carry. So, kicking it right off, have the iPhone 15 Pro Max with the Pelican faux carbon fiber case. I know there's companies out there that make the real ones. I just like Pelican just because I can drop it. I carry my camera stuff in a Pelican case, so a little bit of brand loyalty. Sure, sue me, whatever. Up next is my wallet. This is just like a cigarette case styled wallet made out of aluminum, and it's got dividers in here so I can carry cards and such. I don't really carry cash with me. When I do, I can fold up the cash and it fits in here just fine. It's not a big deal, but I like having something solid. Carried a bunch of leather wallets throughout the years, but the past couple I've been kind of on a hard wallet kick. I just like them for their durability. They're really, really cool. Also, with these, you can get fun designs etched on them. I actually have a couple old ones that I've just beaten up and scratched some fun designs in, so that's something else to consider. The only thing I will say is it is kind of tough to have these sharp edges here that you might see whenever you're wearing thin clothing. If you're wearing a suit or any sort of thin dress material, it'll kind of dig into you. Just something to keep in mind with that. My multi-tool is going to be the Gerber. This is the Suspension NXT. So this guy's pretty sick. It's got full-size pliers here, a couple other things. My favorite part, and probably the thing that I get the most use of, definitely my favorite part about the NXT is the scissors. You can't beat this. It's sometimes so nice to have. Obviously a knife's great, but scissors make a world of difference, and I absolutely love having these. As you can probably tell, it's a little bit beat up. Not crazy beat up, but definitely a little bit. I don't take the time to clean this stuff. This is my everyday carry. I expect it to be reliable, and I don't necessarily have to polish it or keep it clean or hone the knife edge every single night. I'm just not one of those people. Timepieces. Past couple months, I have been rocking the Casio AE 1200 World Timer. I've just enjoyed the crap out of this thing. It's super cheap. Really reliable. I've dropped it quite a few times. As you can see here, the acrylic hasn't scratched a whole lot. Surprisingly, the aluminum here on the band has, or actually this is just cheap stainless aluminum. It's honestly just such a nice, convenient watch to have. Fits super well. Right here we've got some micro adjustments which make getting this the perfect fit really, really easy. And just having the multiple different time zones and being able to change it based off where you are in the world or what you're doing, and setting timers and functions, super convenient, super easy. Okay. All right. For music, going to the gym, or just wanting to kind of close the world out for a little bit, I've got the CMF earbuds by Nothing. Actually, I just recently picked these up, but I have been loving them. They are super comfortable. They have an advertised 42 decibels of reduction in noise with their active noise cancellation. I wouldn't say that it is the greatest noise cancellation I've ever experienced, but for being $35, they're insane. Absolutely insane. I will also point out here, so they have a little lanyard loop. It's got these little lanyard holes. I'm trying to find them. Oh, hard to see. There's little lanyard holes here, but this spins so nice. It's just basically like a little fidget toy. So you spin it around in your hand, and it's fantastic. But these fit super well. They came with a bunch of different ear tips, and so you can adjust it, customize it to your ear. But I've enjoyed these. The battery life lasts forever. I actually haven't even charged them since I got them, so I opened the box and saw that they had a charge, and since then I have been using them for about a week and a half, and I've still haven't had to charge them. The light hasn't even turned red. Star of the show, we have the SIG P365 X Macro with a couple of goodies on it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and show clear for all those actually, you guys need to see it this way. Here we go. Show clear. We're good. Took the magazine out. Yes, the magazine does carry bullets, but that's just because it's my carry gun and it's always typically loaded. So I finally switched carry guns. I previously owned the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus. I loved that gun. It fit my hand super well. I do have like slightly smaller hands than most of my peers, so the Shield Plus with the extended mags was perfect for me. However, I came across a screaming deal at my local gun shop, and I could not miss this opportunity to pick up the X Macro. There have been a lot of controversial things that people have said about this gun, particularly to do with the magazines. Some people complain about rust developing on their magazines, even from the factory. From my experience, I have yet to see that. Now, take a little grain of salt. I have owned this, and this has only been my carry gun for 2 months. So, with that being said, the past 2 months that I have had it, and about 500 rounds that I've put through it, I have not had any issues. I have not had any jams. I've not had any cosmetic issues whatsoever with this. But let's get a little bit further into this gun. I'll tell you about some of the key things I love, some of the things that I am okay with, and some of the things I don't like. First and foremost, yes, the model that I got does have the porting with the shorter barrel. I am a fan of that. It is a fireball, especially shooting at an indoor range, which is the first time where I took this in to go get sighted in. It is an insane fireball. Thankfully, I was shooting against a bunch of guys that were running rifles, so they weren't bothered by the noise at all. They were pretty well used to it. That being said, shooting in an indoor range with a ported or compensated pistol, you are going to notice an audible difference from the shooter's perspective and from someone that's standing next to or behind you. So take that how you will. For me, I wanted the ability to stay flat on target longer in more consecutive shots. So that's kind of where I ended up. I love having magazines that have a 17+1 capacity. This one's actually not even full at the moment. The amount of capacity you have in such a small platform. Once again, I don't have the largest hands in the world, but this thing is really small and very comfortable. So capacity, huge plus. Another thing is these pins here means that you can pop these out, slide the back straps off, and adjust the grip to fit your hand a little bit better. So for me, I actually went with the medium size. The small was just a little too small, and the large had a swell that was a little too big for the inside of my palm. But you can tweak it. That's the nice thing, is from factory, from the box, you can adjust it to your hand. and it feels fantastic. It does take a little bit of getting used to if you're not used to such a high bore axis and like deeper grip like this. So for me, it definitely took a little bit of getting used to coming from the Shield Plus, which is very narrow, and the bore axis isn't quite as high. It is still pretty high, but compared to this, not as much. All right, let's get into optics. As you can see here, I have the EPS, not the EPS carry. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, found it as a screaming deal in my local gun store. Could not beat it. Could not beat the price that they were offering. I bought it open box. It had never been used, never been mounted. So it is brand new, but I got it brand new open box. Couldn't pass it up. This is the 6 MOA green dot version. If I had to go back and start from the beginning and pick my own, and if I could get it for $200 off MSRP, I would probably get the 2 MOA dot, just based off of my shooting preferences and what I like to have. However, I have had zero issues with this dot thus far. Now, you will notice that there is some overhang. Not a ton, but a little bit. I also want it to be able to slide in and out of holsters, any holster that is cut for an optic, and I haven't had any issues with either of the holsters that I've carried with this, so that's super nice. It does hang out a little bit, but when you're shooting, you don't really notice, and the large window that this comes on, I'll actually see if you guys can see that. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about pointing this in my camera. This window is beautiful. It's huge, it's clear, it is closed emitter, which is super nice for keeping rain, dust, and gunk off of it, at least from what I've experienced thus far. I took it out to the range today with a couple buddies to go shoot it, and with the ports, there's a lot of carbon that shoots back it up, and it was also raining, but I didn't have to worry about like my dot being messed up because of that. I was able to take my t-shirt or my fiber cloth, wipe off the lenses, and I was back in business. And that was just more of because I wanted to, not because I had to. I could still see my dot and through it perfectly fine. Let's get into the light here. Okay, briefly ran into the technical difficulties. My camera battery died, and I now have a camera battery indicator on the monitor, so hopefully we still have something left. All right, where was I? I was on the TLR 7X. My finger was on the trigger, is on the flashlight button. This is outside of the trigger well, just to let people know. Yeah, stupid bright. What more do you want me to say? So, super convenient, really easy to put on, get it dialed in. I've got a ton of these batteries floating around because I may have other lighting apparati. So yeah, I got a bunch of these batteries floating around. All right, now something that is going to be a little controversial. This is the Safariland Incog X. This is a inside the waistband holster developed by Haley Strategic and Safariland in conjunction together. Well, I mean, let's break it down. So it's inside the waistband, slightly adjustable. What I mean by that is the cant angle, like the angle of the cant for these clips here, is not the most adjustable. You could probably adjust this one, but this one I would not, because it also is attached to your wing. Kind of an important part of your carry. These little wing clips, though, are removable. So there's a little tab on the back here. Slide your finger in, off comes your tab. I'm using the medium one. Once again, I've just found that to be the most comfortable for my carry currently. You can move these clips up and down. You can see I've actually gone up. It comes down here on the bottom hole. I popped it up to the two middle holes, and then this one is on the top two, so it should be even across the plane. That just means that when you're putting it in your belt, you can kind of adjust your ride height. You can't adjust your cant as much as you probably like to. So if you're someone that is very big on having a canted positive or negatively canted holster, maybe not the one for you. So I will say the Kydex here is substantial. It's pretty thick as far as Kydex holsters that I've had, which is good because you get very good positive retention and extremely durable build. The plastic here is really, really nice. I'm sure you could change these out for metal clips, but I've actually really enjoyed these plastic clips. They've stuck on really, really nicely to all of the belts, and they have a positive, let's see here, positive angled clip, so they kind of hook in on themselves. This is not gonna focus. Come on. Anyways, you're just gonna have to take my word for it because my camera won't focus on it. But these clip in really nicely. They are really, really strong, and I wouldn't worry about these breaking unless, you know, you're throwing yourself from a building and landing 50 feet on the ground. It's so stupid. Sometimes I come up with like the stupidest shit to say, and I don't get it. The clips are good. Now this is where like the controversial part of this holster comes in, is the clip here on the left hand side that you're seeing, or the right hand side for me, is attached to the wing. And a lot of people have said that when you put your belt in to kind of wrap it around and tighten, on your belt to prevent flagging, printing, to prevent printing on your waistline. They say that this kind of negates that by having a belt loop here and then the pad here, even though you can adjust it to be a little thicker. What I have found is that it does a good job at preventing printing. It's not like the greatest, it's not invisible, or as invisible as I'm sure some people, especially those that are into like super deep concealment to where like you can't see anything. But for someone that wears jeans and light t-shirts throughout the work week, they work just fine. Like, unless you're staring at my crotch area, you're not going to know that I'm carrying a gun. And you have to be staring there for a little bit. And at that point, we're going to have other problems because my wife is going to get really, really mad about that. The other thing about this, and I'm sure the one that like a lot of people notice, is like, it looks a little different. Well, that's because it has kind of an Alcantara type texture. That is a game changer. More holster companies need to do this because this soft, like Alcantara suede feel is incredible. Does that mean it kind of gets a little wet when you sweat and it's hot? Yes, absolutely. Today, when we were out at the range, I wore this to do some drills, and it was raining, and I was hot and sweaty. It was a good 90 degrees, and I still was very comfortable. It got a little wet, nothing more than like I would consider problematic. What I just did is as soon as I got home, I took this off, put it in a dry place, set it down for a little bit. It dried off within 30 to 45 minutes. It's still very thin. It's not a thick Alcantara, but it's very soft. So against your skin, especially for extended periods of time, can't beat it. But yeah, that's my setup. That's kind of like every single day I have these items. Now there are a couple things that I like interchange. So I don't want to say that these exactly stay the same, but when I, like the most that I interchange is watches. I regularly will go back and forth between like a couple automatic watches that I have to this one, but consistently, I would say 3 times a week, I'm going to the AE 1200 for one reason or another. Not to say that I don't like the other watches I wear. I do. I love them, and I love all the different styles that I have. But if you just wanted my like consistent, most used everyday carry, that's what it's gonna be. We're gonna get an update on this probably later in the year, or early in the next year. But this is kind of where I'm at. If you guys have any questions, concerns, or comments, please let me know. And if you wouldn't mind, consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it. See ya.